Ukraine used the most anticipated weapon, which was secretly transferred by the US and inflicted a devastating blow to Russians, pretty much the most devastating one since the beginning of this war. And at this point it is estimated that all Russian major military bases and airfields can be potentially under full Ukrainian fire control. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, today we have this artist who is creating sculptures and monuments. He can make them mostly from the metals like bronze and steel, I don't know. And basically this is how one of his most recent sculptures look like. Hint, this is a sculpture of a skiing person. But the most interesting part begins when we zoom in on the face of the sculpture, which does not resemble too many human characteristics at all. But wait a second, honestly, I don't know, long story short, this sculpture he probably lied on his resume and still got a job. But most surprisingly is that it is not his first work. He was making statues in the past, as you can see from this image. So I don't even know at this point, is he trolling or bamboozling somebody? I mean, how he still gets orders to create sculptures. But this is what it is. And I wonder if he will ever be allowed to make a statue of Vladimir Putin. Well, most likely not, he will be going straight to jail. But at least maybe he will be able to make at some point the statue of Shoigu. Sergei Shoigu is okay in this case. But okay, jokes aside, now let's talk serious stuff. Let's talk about this most anticipated weapon which Ukraine recently secretly received by the US, and they already used it. And then we'll talk about Russians facing a dead end in Avdiivka, and we'll finalize everything with the most devastating blow of Ukrainians against Russian military bases. And the secret weapon I'm talking about, which by the way is already confirmed by the representatives of the White House and President Zelensky himself, is ATACMS missiles with the range up to 160 kilometers or approximately 100 miles. It has also been reported that Ukraine received a dozen of these missiles, at least for now, so we'll see, they most likely will receive more in the future, and Ukrainians already used them and inflicted truly incredible powerful blow to the Russians, but we'll speak about more of this in details very soon. And the main thing about these specific ATACMS missiles is that they are of a cassette or cluster type, which basically means upon trigger it releases many other sub-explosives, which basically increases the range of this attack exponentially. Besides that, America also reported that it transferred all of its 31 M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, which were promised earlier. And speaking about tanks, Ukrainians continue to practice and use French mini-tanks AMX-10RC on the front lines, as you can see from this video. And so, what about Russia? Well, the newly acquired friend of Putin, Kim Chen-in, the leader, let's call him like this, of North Korea, it looks like that these two countries established a longer-lasting, mutually beneficial supply of munition. Long story short, as you can see from this satellite image, which is first coming to us from Russia, a lot of new containers and new infrastructure is appearing in Russian bases. And then there is a picture from one of North Korean ports, which also shows some adjustments in the port infrastructure. And besides that, Putin recently landed in China to speak with its representatives, and then he'll continue his tour around Asian countries, such as, for example, Vietnam, Thailand, Mongolia, and so on. Most likely, he'll be also asking for weapons. And now, let me give you a brief update from the east, specifically Russians who are facing a literal dead end in Avdiivka, and then we'll switch our attention to the south of Ukraine. And in the meantime, guys, if you don't mind, can you please support the channel, and all you need to do is simply to like this video and subscribe to my channel. This does mean a lot to me, so thank you so much. You can also follow me on Instagram to see how I live outside of YouTube. The link is down below. And so yes, first of all, let's once again refer to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which mentions that Russians continue their offensive along Kupiansk-Svatove Kreminna front line. They even made some gains, which are not yet confirmed by this map, and in return, majority of Ukrainian focus is concentrated near Bakhmut, and then additionally it has been mentioned that Russians brought at least 2 more brigades of their infantry to Avdiivka, but they were not spotted engaging in any combat activities, at least yet, which once again confirms the statement made in the previous video that Russians are actively switching towards active defense in this city. Going once again a little bit up next to Kupiansk, it has been reported that Ukrainians were able to destroy a Russian assault group along with their tank next to Ivanove. But it does not end here, because as we go to Kreminna, Ukrainians were able to destroy extremely important Russian engineering equipment, such as BAT-2 road builder, a pontoon, and also a truck which has been unloading the Dragon Teeth. I mean, we already know it is not that effective, but Russians continue to use them. Well, I mean, go ahead. And additionally, a truly incredible video resurfaced recently, and this video is from the last year, and basically shows that Ukrainian small unit, along with the support of 2 tanks and several drones, was able to rescue the entire family of a 7-year-old boy named Stas from the under constant artillery fire by Russians. But unfortunately, Russians also engaged in combat activities in the east, such as for example in Slavyansk, as you can see right here, as a result of a Russian intercepted aerial vehicle. A local residential infrastructure has been severely damaged. But just like for the last several days, the main combat activities are happening around Avdiivka, and we begin with this pretty interesting video where Russians were able to somewhere find motorbikes of a very bright blue color. They recorded a video driving them, also revealing their positions, and soon enough these bikes, most likely with the drivers, were completely obliterated by Ukrainians. But most importantly, according to Russians fighting inside Avdiivka, he basically claims, this one soldier, that on the day 7th of this already failed Avdiivka assault, Russians are pretty much facing a dead end. They can no longer advance forward. He even literally says that as soon as they raise their heads from their trenches, they are already under Ukrainian fire, because there's simply absolutely no support by the Russian artillery or heavy machinery. It is mostly just infantry trying to advance. Obviously, extremely unsuccessful. At this point, it does not even look like that they will be able to retreat, because just once again, as soon as Ukrainians see them, they open fire. No warnings issued. But okay, and now as promised, let me give you a brief update from the south of Ukraine, where one of the most powerful blows by Ukrainians since the beginning of this war happened recently. But first of all, if you don't mind me, can I please make a quick stop in Odessa, because recently another attack by Russians, and these aerial targets, they were intercepted by Ukrainians, but nevertheless the debris caused a pretty big destruction on the ground in the local yacht club. In addition to that, Ukrainians were also able to intercept a Shahid drone allegedly above Kherson, but unfortunately the debris caused a destruction on the ground. But nevertheless, Ukrainian air defense system was pretty dominant last 24 hours, being able to intercept all 6 Shahid drones and 1 entire missile. But the response of Ukrainians was much more significant, because recently they used the above mentioned attack MC missiles and were able to destroy a local airfield of Russians located in Berdyansk. And this video of Ukrainians launching these attack MC missiles was released to us by the commander-in-chief of Ukrainian forces, Valery Zaluzhny. And according to Russian media, and also including soldiers who are serving in this area, this has been probably the most significant, the most powerful blow of Ukrainians since the beginning of this war, because Russian air defense system was completely unprepared, was not able to intercept it, and then even the air defense system itself, Panzer M, was destroyed as well. The local Russian soldiers also filmed this 5+ minutes video with the consequences of this attack, which basically shows that they're completely powerless. Everything is on fire, they're not able to save any of the military equipment or aerial vehicles, and the only thing that is left for them to do is to record this video. And reportedly, Ukrainians gave a code name to this operation, and they named it a Dragonfly. And by the way, guys, so unfortunately, yes, as you can see, I still have to censor videos with my fight against YouTube, but if you don't mind to support the channel, and if you want to see fully uncensored episodes of the Russian Dude, which are given to you in the early access several hours before they go live on YouTube, if you don't mind, can you please check my Patreon? The link is down below. There is 1 week of free access for you to see if you like it or not. Thank you so much. And so, back to Berdyansk. As you can see from this image, it definitely confirms that there were significant attacks at this airfield. In addition to that, only this morning it was revealed that Ukrainians did use Attack MC missiles based on the debris which was found on the ground. And if you take a look at this spheric object, it also reinforces the fact that the type of missile they used was a cluster type, and later on even a booster was found, pretty much once and for all confirming that yes, it was an Attack MC. But wait, there is more, because besides Berdyansk, also Luhansk was attacked by Ukrainians, and the total number of Russian losses in this one single night is 9 attack helicopters, air defense system, other extremely important military equipment and ammunition depot. But also, the entire airfield itself, the landing strip, is now badly damaged, which basically means Russians are no longer able to use it to take off and land with its fighter jets and other military planes. And the main question of the video is, why this particular event is so important? And well, first of all, it means that Ukraine now potentially can take all 100%, the entirety of Russian military bases, airfields, seaports and so on under fire control. Because first of all, take a look at this map, which shows you the range of newly received Attack MC missiles, which in here is highlighted in yellow color. Yes, it does not show that Ukraine, for example, can take the rest of Crimean bases under fire control. But if you remember from the past, Ukrainians were already attacking such distant targets as, for example, Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Sevastopol, which basically means they do not even need Attack MC missiles to reach such distant targets. But with Attack MC, it will only make it much more easier for Ukrainians to destroy military targets of Russians. And this is only taking into consideration that the current range of Attack MC missiles that Ukraine has is limited to 100 miles or 160 kilometers, but this is not the maximum range of these missiles, which potentially means that US might send them in the future as well. And yes, we all remember that America, Europe and the rest of the Ukrainian supporters, they were mentioning that, okay, we can send you our weapons as long as you do not attack the territory of Russia. But now, as you can see, more and more Western countries, they do no longer consider occupied territories such as Crimea as the territory of Russia anymore. Which basically means that Ukrainians will be able to attack Crimean bases of Russians with Western missiles and do not face the backlash of their own supporters. And just once again, the most important thing as of right now to keep for every one of us in mind is that yes, Attack MC will not be able to reach distant Crimean bases, but Ukraine does not need them. They were able to reach them on their own. Attack MC and all the following missiles will only make it so much easier. And just like in the past, whenever America was hesitant to send HIMARS missiles or its own Abrams tanks, as you can see, slowly but surely they start doing it. The very same thing happened with this Attack MC. They were kinda hesitant to send them, and just recently they sent the very first batch of 12 of them. So it means most likely much more are coming in the future. And if you remember, such long-range munition was one of the most requested items from the West in order for Ukrainians to make their counteroffensive and ultimate liberation easier. Because as long as Ukrainians are able to destroy Russian military targets far behind the front lines, it makes their further advancement of their infantry and military vehicles so much easier as well. And as of right now, we see one of the very first steps being taken in this direction, and so most likely even more additional supplies will come in the near future, so let's see how Ukraine will use them. And if you're very excited for what is coming, just please can you subscribe to my channel not to miss any of these future updates. And also just I want to thank you so much all my patrons for your support, and see you tomorrow.